All right. Well, I mentioned Dabo and Clemson. Let's move into them. They're at maybe the end of the journey potentially, depending on who you would ask. They're 1-3 now. They just dropped a game to Syracuse, who is a good team, but still dropped a game against them. Right now, what are we thinking about the program and everything surrounding the noise with the Tigers?
Yeah, so this season was supposed to be possibly the season for Clemson, right? They were favorites in the ACC. They were favorites to make the college football playoff and probably be one of the top four seeds. And now it just all feels like it's crumbling apart, which is unfortunate for Dabo Sweeney and the crew. But I I don't know if this like I don't know if we should have seen this coming. Like I don't think that there was any way to, especially with how many returners they had. But like that team, even last year, right, struggled throughout the course of the regular season for an extended period of time. Won some close games, was able to sneak into the college to the ACC championship and eventually to the college football playoff. But that team with the returners on defense should have been really good. But if Cade Klubnik isn't clicking, that offense isn't very good, and we've seen that in a couple games now. And Syracuse just dominated that game. Really, there was a big delay, and even still, like that, it didn't reset anything for that Clemson offense. It still didn't look that good. And when you're just looking from it holistically, like what were they favored by 2 touchdowns in that game? Like you think that Clemson is the much better team, and they've just been struggling all season long. Like Georgia Tech, they shouldn't. That game was like closer and even spread, but still they shouldn't have lost that game. And just in general, LSU coming out to start the season, they were favorites in that game at home. Just in general, the season hasn't looked very good. I don't think that there's a way that it's even recoverable at this point. If there's only 2 losses, only one ACC loss, there's a chance they make it to the ACC championship and possibly win the ACC championship, get into the big dance. But at this point, there's no like way. I don't think that they even have a remote shot at making it to the college football playoff, and their college football championship hopes are essentially over through 4 games. So
Well,
really bleak for Clemson, just really bleak for Dabo Sweeney. His press conferences get worse and worse by the week.
yeah, that's I think the part that I don't like the most is just the Dabo has built this program. You associate Clemson with Dabo and vice versa. And I don't really want to see this come to an end. I'm not like, an avid Clemson hater in that regard. I feel like it shouldn't. Yeah, he was late to the transfer portal, but they're still doing it. They're doing plenty of NIL there at Clemson. You got to do it, even if you hate it. And they've been, in my opinion, a real good example of at least building a program from where they weren't national contending, below for the bottom of the ACC and building it all the way up. And they've stuck around for a very long time. Now, if you had asked me a couple weeks ago, just moving into this season and not the kind of general like legacy of Dabo, I would have said that this schedule eased up a little bit. I knew Steve Angeli was a great quarterback right now, getting his chance at Syracuse, coming from Notre Dame, and Georgia Tech, certainly underrated. But even in those games, I would have liked to see more. So I am a little bit skeptical when I do say this, but they do only have Florida State the rest of the way. I don't know what South Carolina is going to be at the end of this year. I think they'll pick it up from where they are now, but there is a bit of a path as far as within the conference. If they do pick it up, they have to win out. But there's always that chance in the ACC. Things could get kind of messy. You never know. SMU has also fallen pretty far. So it's essentially just trying to catch up to Florida State and Miami. One of them is going to get a conference loss in a couple weeks. So maybe there's a path, and I think that that's how you look at it. Glad you mentioned Klubnik. Dang, I don't know what his 2026 NFL draft stock is looking like anymore because, this team, if he's not working, they're not playing well, and they're 1-3. So that should tell you how he's playing.
Yeah, I maybe want to push back on the conference being like the ACC in general this year. I don't think that either Miami or FSU will have 2 losses. I think that the loser of that game probably won't lose again in the conference. So I just don't really. I see what you're saying, but I don't really see a path, especially because they have to play FSU. If they did end up winning that game, that'd be an absolute shocker to me. And at that point, then maybe they have a shot. But I don't see it based off how they've been playing the first couple weeks, and it just really feels like that team is like a broken shell of themselves at this point now. Like it feels like every week it's getting worse. It's not getting any better. Like that team didn't come out with any passion or any effort, like anything abnormal that you would like to see out of a team that's really faced, like this was their backs against the wall, right? Like you don't want to follow down 2 games in the ACC through 2 games like played in the conference. And that I understand Steve Angeli came into this game with a lot of hype, and he's a good quarterback. Unfortunate for him getting injured in this game.
Yeah.
But like it's Clemson and it's Syracuse. Like, there's a reason why they're 14.5-point favorites. There's a reason why the team has been just so good for such an extended period of time. And I just don't see there being any hope for Clemson like this the rest of the way, especially because of the fact that they will have to play FSU at some point. Like at home against the FSU, but still, I don't think that makes it that big of a difference. They'll have 3 conference losses, and I don't think that they get anywhere close to the ACC championship game.
For Florida State, I think we're going to know a lot more about them before they play Miami with this Virginia game. I'm a little bit more skeptical about them, and I do think that they're going to lose to Miami. So it just comes down to, can they end up, running the table the rest of the way within the conference. So that was kind of where I was headed. But yeah, the Steve Angeli injury, it sucks, but it was kind of supposed to be something that maybe leaves the door open. And Syracuse didn't really miss a beat. The backup came in and threw a touchdown, and they were able to put up enough points to the tune of 34, and Clemson just didn't have any offense. So I get what you're saying there. I haven't really seen anything too inspiring. I think they'll beat UNC in their next game, and I believe they're on a bye this coming week, which they need badly. If there's any team in the country that needs it, it's Clemson.